Chapter 14, The Future of Software. How do software companies make money? Most make money by selling support and providing services. Most software is sold at cost. Major players include Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP. Cloud computing means storing and accessing data and programs over the internet instead of on your local computer. Cloud computing can be split into two general categories: software as a service and utility computing. Software as a service provides internet access to fully operational applications for a fee. Utility computing starts with a hardware cloud where the vendor procures and manages the equipment and the customer rents it as needed. With platform as a service, the vendor creates a physical environment including hardware, operating systems, databases, and appropriate utility applications. The customer adds their own applications. Finally, infrastructure as a service, IaaS, exists when the vendor provides the basic infrastructure, while the customer manages the operating system, applications, and data. These services are provided both as a purchase or lease or rental. There are many benefits to cloud computing. There are lower initial costs for hardware and software and lower ongoing maintenance fees. This is due to shared infrastructure and the leverage that large-scale providers can garner. There is a reduced need for IT staff since the vendor team manages many tasks. Expenses are operating rather than capital. Capability is more readily scalable as you can make use of shared capacity. You also take advantage of the vendor's expertise, especially when starting with new technologies. Disadvantages of cloud computing include being locked in to a single vendor and the need to ensure the business continuity of that vendor. You are dependent upon the internet and external networks. Security and risk management plans at the vendor must be inspected to ensure compliance with your standards. Can critical or sensitive data be entrusted with a third party? Is this step in support of your core competency, or can you treat this function like a utility? On the other hand, if this is a key competency, you might be reducing your differentiation by using the same processes and applications as your competition. What has been the cloud's impact on the tech industry? A whole new set of options have been created. New business opportunities have been created. The cloud enables leveraging lower-cost labor through globalization. What other changes do you see? What do you think this means for the people who work with the technology? Changes include consolidation of skills along with specialization and more opportunities in low-cost regions. What has been the impact of the cloud on business? Businesses have more options, lower cost, and increased flexibility, but may lose some control. What other changes do you see? Virtualization refers to running multiple operating systems on a computer system simultaneously. The diagram shows three physical machines on the left, each with its own unique operating system and applications. Virtualization on the right replaces these three physical computers with one computer, with all three differing operating systems running alongside each other. The user interfaces with one device but can access the applications and operating systems of three virtual machines. This works by running each operating system effectively as an application on top of the host operating system of the single physical machine. An application called a virtualization layer is loaded onto the host machine. Operating systems are then loaded onto the virtualization layer. Applications associated with each operating system are then loaded. The advantage is that a single device can operate applications that are incompatible or run on different operating systems. The other advantage that helps cloud operators is that the resources of the host computer, like CPU and memory, can be shared and reallocated as needed. This method optimizes the use of expensive hardware and provides flexibility to the cloud service provider. Within business, the decision must be made as to whether to make, buy, or rent software that is key to the operation. we need to consider whether this function is a competitive advantage for the business. Do we rely on unique processes, procedures, or technologies that create vital differentiating competitive advantage? If so, we might consider custom software to maintain this advantage. If forced to conform to the process model of purchase software, we may lose our competitive edge. Another factor is the security of our data and processes. We must fully understand and weigh the risks associated with using the packaged software, OSS, cloud solution, or an outsourced vendor. Will a third party be as careful with key data as our own internal IT team might be? We must also be sure that third-party providers have the necessary systems in place to ensure a proper level of business continuity and disaster recovery. Other considerations include legal and compliance issues. Is our firm prohibited outright from using technologies? For example, certain technologies and encryption schemes may not be exported outside of the country. Certain technologies may not be imported into other countries due to their local laws. Data security guidelines for handling personally identifiable information and government classified data may prevent the use of third-party cloud services. Of a more practical nature, if we don't take advantage of a third-party cloud provider, what are our alternatives? Do we even have the internal capability to install and maintain the necessary hardware and software? Next, what approach is the most cost-effective over the life cycle of the full system? This includes procurement cost, annual licensing, and support costs during the full life of the installation. Finally, when making this critical make, buy, or rent decision, we need to consider whether we have time to build, test, and deploy the system. A cloud provider may be able to respond more quickly, since they may be able to simply allocate existing resources to our use. This type of arrangement is for the long term. We must do our due diligence to ensure that the vendor is reputable and will be a good partner. Can the vendor guarantee the service levels and reliability we need, and share our general strategy and business model? Once all of these factors are considered, we can then make a knowledgeable decision as to whether to work with a third-party cloud provider and, if so, what company is best suited to that arrangement. This concludes our discussion on the future of software and cloud computing. Next, we will review the Internet, networks, and telecommunication in Chapter 16.